All right, we are going to go ahead and get started here and look at our level 2 problems for today. So like I said, the level 2 problems for today are, the reason why I'm calling it level 2 is because we're not just factoring quadratics right away. Sometimes we're going to have quadratics that have a GCF that we have to deal with first. So this is basically the same thing that we did last week, guys, just looking at problems with sometimes a little extra difficulty there with your factoring and first finding a GCF. So the steps here on the right side, exact same steps that we've been using, that we used to solve our problems last week and that we used to solve the problems the weeks before. And so we're going to continue to use these steps, and I'll show you how they apply to the problems that we're looking at this week. But if you're looking at me going, oh my gosh, level 2, like these are that much harder, they're really not. They're using all the skills that you guys have been using all year long. I just wanted to separate these from the ones from last week so that we would get a really good grasp on this. So go ahead and pause the video if you haven't done so already and copy down these notes, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so again, just like before, my first step is to simplify each part of my equation here as much as what I possibly can. And we always want to go in this order, looking for a GCF first, then factoring, then expanding. Okay, so I'm going to focus on just this top left piece right here, 2x to the 5th minus 200x to the 3rd. Do I have a greatest common factor? Well, in this top part, I do. I do have a GCF here for this top part. And my GCF here would be 2. 2 goes into both 2 and 200. And then let's look at our x's. I have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 here. So how many do they share? How many do they have in common? And hopefully you're telling yourself they have 3 that are in common. So x to the 3rd is also going to be a part of my GCF. And I want to figure out what is left over. Well, 2 divided by 2 would get me 1. If I had 5 x's and 3 of them went on the outside, I have x squared left over. Negative 200 divided by 2 will get me negative 100. Okay, and then x to the 3rd, all of those went on the outside, so I don't have any more there. All right, now I want to double check this. Can I do anything else with this here? Can I factor my leftover piece? And hopefully you're noticing, yes, I actually can factor this leftover piece. Okay, x squared minus 100, that's a quadratic, and I know that because of this x squared. You may have seen this x squared written as x squared plus 0x minus 100, right? We're missing that middle term. And so when we factor this, when we set up our t-chart, what multiplies to get me negative 100, that will add to get me 0. And so right now we've got negative 10 and positive 10 that we are going to go ahead and factor this into. So this top part right here, I'm actually going to rewrite this one more time. And so this top part here, this is going to be kind of some scratch work. So I'm going to jump all the way down to here. Okay. This top part, I've got my GCF of 2x to the 3rd. And then instead of rewriting this quadratic, I'm actually rewriting it as its factors. X minus 10 and x plus 10. And so this right here replaced all of this right here. So like I said, guys, sometimes we're going to have a GCF and then we can factor from there. And you know you can factor from there if you have an x squared. All right, let's go ahead and look at this bottom part. So we've got 4x to the 4th minus 64x to the 3rd plus 240x squared. So again, let's go through our steps. Do I have a greatest common factor? I do have a GCF of this one as well. And my GCF is 4. And then double check your x's. We've got 4 here, 3, and 2. So the most that they can share in common is x squared. Again, all of this right here is just going to be some scratch work for me. Okay. All right, let's figure out what's left over. 4 divided by 4 gets me 1. We had 4 x's and 2 of them went on the outside. So we've got 2 left over, so x squared. Negative 64 divided by 4 will get me negative, what is that? 16, I believe. Negative 16x. And then 240 divided by 4 will get me positive 60. And all of my x's went on the outside. All right, so we did GCF, double check. Whenever you have a GCF, you always now want to double check, can I do anything with this leftover piece? And hopefully you're telling yourself again, I can factor this. So what multiplies to get me 60? That will add to get me negative 16. And that would be negative 6 and negative 10. Okay, and so this piece right here, when I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this, okay, I have my GCF for x to the second, but instead of rewriting this quadratic, I'm going to rewrite my factors, x minus 6, x minus 10. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and jump over here. X minus 6, do I have a GCF? Nope. Can I factor it? Nope. And I know I can't factor it because there's not an x squared. Can I expand this? So is it like x to the third or something like that? And nope, I can't. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this one alone as x minus 6. And hopefully you're recognizing with this x plus 10 that follows the same pattern. And so I'm going to leave x plus 10 alone as well. All right, double check. Looking here, there's one more thing we always want to go through and look at. Can we expand anything? And hopefully you're noticing I can expand. I'm going to scooch this up a little bit. This 2x to the third and this 4x squared. So I'm actually going to rewrite this one more time. And I'm going to rewrite these fully expanded. So I've got 2x to the third is really 3x's. And then these ones all in parentheses, these groups, I'm just going to leave those alone. And because this is multiplication, remember from last week, we can make this all one fraction. So I'm going to put this all together up top like that. All right, looking at the bottom, I've got 4x squared. That means I have 2 x's. And so I can go ahead and rewrite and copy down the bottom here. X minus 6, x minus 10, x plus 10. So we rewrote this as one fraction. Now I want to go ahead and look at what can I cancel that's the same on top and the same on bottom. So let's take a look here. 2 over 4, this can actually reduce. So maybe remind yourself, what can you cancel or reduce? Top to bottom. 2 over 4 can actually reduce to 1 over 2, right? Simplified fraction. You want to reduce that all the way. Let's look at our x's. I can cancel 1, 2 x's there. X minus 10s can cancel. Those are the same. Same thing with x plus 10s and same things with x minus 6s. So all I'm left here with, my reduced fraction, 1 over 2, and I've got an x left up top. Everything else canceled, so this right here would be my final answer. All right, guys, let's go ahead and look at number 2. So go ahead, pause the video if you need, and rewrite this one. All right, let's go ahead and look at this here. So again, go through our steps. Look at this top part. This is a little bit unique. We have something squared. Well, think about what we just did here. When I had 4x squared right here, I rewrote this as 4 times x times x. Well, that's the exact same thing here. I have essentially 2 groups here of this x plus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as 15 times x plus 6, x plus 6. Something squared means I have 2 of them. All right, let's go ahead and look in the denominator here. So again, go through your steps. Do I have a GCF? Hopefully you're telling yourself yes. Yes, I have a GCF. I have a greatest common factor of 15. And I want to divide to figure out what's left over. So 15 dividing into each one of these is going to leave me with x squared. Negative 60 divided by 15 is going to get me 4, so negative 4x. And 900 divided by 15 is going to get me a negative 60 here. Okay. All right, step 2, double check your leftover piece. Can you factor this? And hopefully you're recognizing that we can. We actually can go another step with this denominator here. So we're going to actually rewrite this again. So looking at this one right here, we can factor that, but we're going to come back to this and let's look at our other sides here. So we're multiplying by, all right, let's take a look at this. Do I have a GCF? And hopefully you're noticing yes, x to the third is my GCF. And so what's left over is x squared minus 7x minus 30. Again, hopefully you're recognizing what we're going to do here in a second. All right, take a look at this bottom one. Again, we do have a GCF of x squared. So what's left over here, we've got x squared plus 9x plus 18. So I had 4 x's, I took 2 out, 3 x's, I took 2, and both my x's went on the outside. Okay, so we went through, we just double checked for GCFs. Now I want to double check, can I factor anything? So let's go ahead and look. Factoring up here, I don't have any x squared, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this alone. So if you're wondering where we are at with our steps, we just went through and we found all our GCFs. Now we're going through and seeing, can we factor anything? Okay, looking in our denominator here, I can factor this, x squared minus 4x minus 60. So if you want to set up your t-chart of what multiplies to get you negative 60, that will add to get you negative 4. This would be negative 10 and positive 6. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this, bringing my GCF with me, but as x minus 10, x minus 6, excuse me, plus 6. That should be a positive 6. Okay, multiplying x to the third, I can expand this out, 1, 2, 3 x's. And again, x squared minus 7x minus 30, this is another quadratic, so I can factor this. What multiplies to get me negative 30, that adds to get me negative 7. I'm not setting up my t-chart. Hopefully we're getting to the point where we're getting pretty confident with factoring here. So again, what multiplies to get me negative 30, that adds to get me negative 7. And hopefully you're thinking that would be negative 10 and positive 3. So I rewrote that as x minus 10, x plus 3. All right, in our denominator, we have x squared. We can expand that out as 2 x's. And we've got another quadratic. What can we multiply to get 18? That will add to get us 9. And that would be positive 3 and positive 6. So x plus 3, x plus 6. All right, from here, I want to go ahead and simplify and cancel. So what is the same on top and bottom? And remember, this is all one fraction. So x plus 6's, I can go ahead and cancel here. X plus 6, I can actually cancel with this one way over here because this is all one fraction. My x minus 10's can cancel and my x plus 3's can cancel. 15 over 15 really just reduces to 1, or you can kind of think of it as that gets canceled. And then my x's, we can also reduce here. So let's take a look at what's left over. Up top, all I have left is x, and in the bottom, everything canceled. So all that work simplified to just simply x. All right, guys, next video, I have 2 more problems and one more you are going to try. One of them you'll try on your own.